Welcome as we think together today about that big topic. Who is Jesus? Who is Jesus? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Have you ever wondered actually what your God name is? What name God would give you based on your faith and your character? There are many, many examples in Scripture of God naming people or changing their name. Do you know what's significant about your name? Are you called after someone? Does it say something to you about your family history and where you belong? Or was it just some strange, quirky impulse of your parents? My mum was going to call me Bridget right up until after I was born, and then she changed her mind, and along with lots of other mothers at that time, called me Linda, the latest film star name of the time. Who knows why? I'd far rather she'd stuck with Bridget. Recently we heard, or at least I think we saw written down, some unpronounceable name that Elon Musk named his little child. I think it was a kind of a mathematical formula. Poor kid, have to live with that forever. But in today's gospel, Jesus renames Simon his disciple. He gives him a new name and a new identity as a sign of who he's going to become, a sign of how God sees him. From that moment on, Simon will be Peter, which means the rock, because Peter had this inspired moment when he understood who Jesus actually was for a moment. Sometimes moments of illumination are a bit like that, aren't they? This shaft of light drops into the darkness and the struggle and the things we don't get. And just for a moment, a brief moment, we see clearly and we understand. Peter named it. Named Jesus as the Son of God. And it's on this confessing, this speaking out, that the church is built. The Peter we find over and over again in the Gospels is this deeply flawed character, very human individual. But Jesus sees past all those flaws and recognises this deep vein of truth and knowing in him. So in today's Gospel, in Matthew's Gospel chapter 16, Jesus and the disciples have arrived at Caesarea in Philippi, and he asks the disciples the question, "Who are people saying that I am?" And he gets a few different, quite fanciful answers. People are saying you could be John the Baptist, or perhaps you're Elijah reincarnated, or perhaps you're even the prophet Jeremiah. And then Jesus asks them another question. That's all very well, but who do you say that I am? Who do you say that I am? And there's deathly silence. Peter is the brave one who answers, and it's an answer that's become a focus for faith. You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And Jesus recognises that this flawed, impetuous person who so often gets things wrong, that he's grasped an important truth. So who is this Jesus? That's the question for today. Was he just a good man who lived a long time ago? Who's the pin-up boy, if you like, for political prisoners? Was he just a really clever teacher? Is he just a part of our cultural heritage and our Christian religion? Perhaps rather than that, who do you say that I am is a really personal question. And it's a question Jesus asks each one of us. We don't have to know everything. We don't have to have the answers to all the academic questions. We don't have to fully understand the Trinity or be great theologians to have our own answer. But it's important that we do have an answer. All we have to know is that at some deep level, we know that somehow, in some way, this Jesus is the Son of the living God and is present with us right here, right now, in our daily life and in our daily experiences. Names. Scripture keeps on showing us how important names are, and there are quite a few stories that speak of God changing people's names, giving them a new name that reflects who they are in their faith. In the book of Genesis, Jacob wrestles with an angel all night, and he's so wounded in the struggle that he walks forevermore with a limp. And the next morning, God changes his name from Jacob to Israel. And the name change showed that he had endured the struggle and come out stronger than before. In the prophet Isaiah, God speaks about this name changing from the name your parents gave you to a name that reflects how God sees you. And the words have been made into a song. I will change your name. You shall no longer be called wounded, lonely, or afraid. I will change your name. Your new name shall be confidence, joyfulness, faithfulness, friend of God, one who seeks my face. Would any of those names fit you? What would your God-given name be? What characteristics would God name in you? What is your real identity? Is God part of that identity that shapes you? Each of us have to make our own journey of personal discovery of the living Christ, and each of us has to answer the question that still hangs in the air. Who do you say that I am? The Lord be with you.